Please come here.
बड़ी बुलंद आवाज में।
Jai Guruji, I will start from the beginning. Is it okay if I speak in English and then I break into Guruji's quote unquote Punjabi Hindi? So I was born and bred in England, and I was born with a hole in the heart, asthma, life-threatening asthma, and skin problem, skin condition. So my first 10 years of my life were in and out of hospitals, more in than out. And I would be constantly on hydrocortisones, steroids and all. So then the teenage years somehow were relatively smooth. And then when I got married in 1988 and I moved to India, in Delhi, every changing season, again, I was hospitalized because in changing season, asthma gets triggered. And I would be in ICU. And again, my hydrocortisones started. And at the age of 30, I got cataract in both the eyes. So, I didn't know what cataract was at that point. I was only 30, but I couldn't see. I could see only white. So there was a lot of health issues. Cut to, when I got married, I was very happy that I was in the land of gurus. So I would consult many gurus and babas and pandits, astrologers, tarot card readers to just inquire about the suffering in my life and why it was happening. So this pattern continued of my going into hospital every changing season and my pattern of consulting different gurus and babas. By 97 December, I remember this day very vividly, the Titanic was released, the movie. So I was in the cinema hall and my life's boat was also sinking. Whereby my marriage was collapsing and my health was caving in. And my asthma suddenly triggered in the cinema. And the Sangat who was with me, I didn't know there was Sangat at that point because I had no idea, had no exposure to Guruji per se. But the Sangat who were with me, this couple, they obviously had me admitted into hospital. So came 98 and the Sangat's sister, she approached me and she said, my Guruji is here and you look very distressed. Why don't you just come to him? She insisted, I resisted. Finally, she persisted to the level where she reached my home. Thursday evening, 6 p.m., she goes, I've informed Guruji. Now you just come with me. In the car, and I remember I went just to oblige her. I was a reluctant believer because I had gone to many babas and gurus, all in vain. We will change your life. Of course, nobody can do anything for anyone. So, the needle did not move, the needle of my life. It remained stagnant. And then when she was sharing her satsang in the car, it was falling on deaf ears, to be honest, because I didn't know what satsang was, what she's sharing, why she was sharing, why is she telling me all about her guru. I was completely disinterested. And then as we walked in, she obviously briefed me, you will bow to him and then maybe or maybe not, he will embrace you. He will take you in his fold because I've taken many of my friends and none of them have gone back. So maybe you're just a number. And I was open about it. She said, go with an open mind, open heart. And as we walked into Chota Mandir as we know it today, Guruji was sitting on his gaddi, very unlike a guru, uncharacteristic of a regular guru that we perceive to be, saffron robe, beard, donation box next to him, nothing like that. He was simply sitting with his trainers, t-shirts, shorts, came back from a 1-hour walk. And as I bowed to him, I just knew this is it. This is home. I felt a wave of joy, a wave of peace that swept over me and permeated me. The soul knows. The soul has, the truth has a gravitational pull. I knew this is it. And then Guruji looked at me and he says, "Tu bada bhatak ke mere ko laayi hai. Tu bade gurus and babas, kisi nu nahi chhadya tu. Tu hun sahi jagah aayi hai." So, and I knew as well. And then I was hoping that, as you know, the Sangat has said, maybe he will not call you back. It's up to him. The next thing he said, Chai Pishab piyenge? I said, Hanji Guruji. Pili, chalo, wo bhi ho gaya. Then he said, Tu roz aana hai, aur roz langar karna aake. So when he said that, that was music to my ears, because I said, now he's taken me in his fold. I was really thrilled to hear that. His words were truly music, because I really felt a sense of peace for the first time, like never before. Because as a child, I suffered, and as a child, I was a seeker. I would be reading books on Buddha at the age of 9. You know, my mother was worried, okay, what is she doing? You know, she should be playing with dolls and playing in the garden, but she's, instead of reading intensively, you know, kind of on life, the meaning of life. I was trying to grapple with the meaning of existence from a very young age. So my mother always felt that I was kind of an oddball. What is she doing? But then I was always a seeker, and we still are, most of us. We're seeking our own truth. And the truth is individual with everyone. As Guruji taught me, apna direct connection bana, koi mediators nahi hai. I'm not a mediator. I'm merely standing, sharing his grace upon me, because he's beyond realm and scope of words and thoughts. We can't describe him, we can't, you know, define him. All we can do is share our grace, the grace that befell us. So changing season came, I was sitting next to him, and he said, I said, Guruji, I can't breathe. I need hospitalization. I need my steroid injections. So he said, Chup karke langar kar. So I looked at the langar prasad and I said, Guruji, मैं नहीं खा सकती अभी, मुझे सांस नहीं आ रहा, मुझे steroid injections के साथ ही मैं ठीक होंगी. So I started explaining to him, and he looked at me and he goes, अगर आज कल्याण कराना है, चुप करके पूरा लंगर करना है. I said, you तेरे steroid injections है. So I said, now he doesn't know what he's talking about. I said, Guruji, aloo gobi dal hai, ye steroid injections hai hi nahi. And I started crying. And I said, ye steroid thodi na hai. So he said, jadon baar juti utar di hai na, te apne Ipsen birds chhad ke aaya kar. Khali ho ke aaya kar. Come as an empty vessel, then I fill you with what you need, as opposed to what you want. Ayu tere steroid injections hai. Kalyan karana hai, aaj. Te Guru da hukam nahi talega, pura langar karna hai. Of course, resentfully, I ate, consumed the langar prasad. As I bowed to take agya, telepathically I said, I'm not coming here again. Guruji verbally responded, immediately, kal aa jaye. So as I lifted myself up, in my head I was saying, अब मैं सीधा हॉस्पिटल जाऊंगी और मैंने दोबारा यहाँ कभी नहीं आना. गुरुजी बहुत हाश है. गुरुजी कहते हैं हॉस्पिटल जाने दी लोड़ नहीं. कार जा, ऐश कर, कल्याण किता. But for his every sangat, he always said, Kalyan Kitta Ashkar. And that was his greatest, most sublime blessing for every sangat, Ashkar. No matter what we're going through karmically, our mindset becomes so positive that we're able to conquer every battle. And that is the beauty of Guruji when he said, Kalyan Kitta Ashkar. It doesn't mean that life becomes smooth sailing. Doesn't mean it becomes a bed of roses just because we can smell the roses. It just simply means he's given us the courage, he's given us the conviction and the confidence to overcome our every hurdle, which is inevitable. Like they say, pain is inevitable in our lives, but suffering is optional. That is what God has given us, a free will, to have the right mindset, the right attitude, to go through our every ordeal, our every trial that eventually turns into triumph when we truly connect and surrender to Guruji. He said, faith, I said, Guruji, usme bada faith hai. Like, you know, looking at somebody, and I said, Guruji, usme bada faith hai. कहते कभी faith तो बड़ी छोटी चीज होती है. Surrender करके देखो. Surrender is a big word with a huge meaning. I don't know what it means. I'm too small for that. But what I'm saying is that we are all work in progress. We're all trying to understand what does really surrender mean. And of course, for me, it means go with the flow, be in acceptance mode, accept and don't expect. And when you don't expect, you get much more than what you bargained for. So then that same year, later on the year, he calls me from the Sangat, and this was my life-defining or fate-defining moment. Of course, the asthma was, you know, when he cured me, I never went back into hospital ever again till date for asthma. I never had an asthma attack again. So with that power of Langar Prashad, I was cured of the asthma that I was born with. But my logical mind did intervene, okay, maybe it's a coincidence. Ye changing season mein nahi hua. Next changing season, I'm sure I'll have that attack. But many changing seasons came, went, asthma never came back. So that's the power of our Langa Prashad. And that is how Guruji cures us, sitting in a satsang, imbibing the Shabad Gurbani, consuming the Langar Prashad, which is our medicine and not calories. कई बार होता है कीटो डाइट पे कोई है, कोई इंटरमिटेंट पे है, वो कैलोरीज कितनी है, पर जैसे दृष्टि वैसे सृष्टि, जो उस भाव से खाएंगे कि मेरी दवाई है, तो वो दवाई है. अगर खाएंगे कि नहीं हो पूरी फिर आगे ये तो कैलोरीज है, मैं तो अभी डाइट शुरू किया, तो it is our food. So it is up to us. The free will is being given to us by God. So that year, he calls me again, and I was sitting. He used to make me sit right there where he was, because later he explained why. And he said, Addara, I said, Guruji, Hanji. Now, with the British education, I didn't really understand a lot of his Punjabi because it was very different Punjabi to the way we speak. So very quickly he used to speak, and he said, "To Shraddha mein pass ho gaye." So I said, Guruji, thank you. Just picked up the word pass, and I said, Shraddha pata nahi kaun hai. मैंने कहा, thank you, Guruji. So he said, come here. तो समझी भी नहीं मैं ठीक है, तो पास हो गई. तो ना तेरे पिछले जन्म के संस्कार वगैरह से तो पहले पहुंच गई. देखिए जगह जगह मेरी जोत चली गई. So he would say very casually, very, kind of in passing. And then he said, what he said next. Ja tera my skin cancer theek kitta. From head to toe I was covered in this ghastly rash where my face was deformed, my eyes were shut. And if I smiled, my face would crack because there was dry skin everywhere. So he said, Ja tera skin cancer theek kitta. Now, in the next thing he said, tu pichle saal astrologer ko gayi si. I said, Guruji, obviously I was hesitant to speak because I knew now that by this time I knew कि आप गुरुजी पास आते तो इधर उधर जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, which he had also said many times. So I said, हाँ जी गुरुजी, like very hesitantly. And then he says, हाँ हाँ उन्हें की क्या से दस ना. I said, गुरुजी याद नहीं है. He said, तन्ने याद नहीं? उन्हें तेरी पत्री पढ़ी सी, उन्हें क्या से तेरी कोई लाइफ नहीं December 97 के बाद. उन्हें सही क्या से. Astrologer तुम्हारी पत्री पढ़ देने मैं लिख पढ़ो देना. So how beautiful is that, and how profound is that? Astrologers, right astrologers, can only read; they cannot rewrite. But Guruji कहते मैं पत्री वो पत्री पढ़ देने, मैं थोड़े लिख बदल देना. तो मैं तेरे मत्थे दा लिखीरा, हत्थे दा लिखीरा, मैं सब बदलता है. So then he said, मैं हत्थे दा लिखीरा, मत्थे दा लिखीरा बदलता हूँ तो बाथरूम की बत्ती ना बंद किता कर. बाथरूम जाने तो पहले और अपने आईने को ना डरया कर. And then I looked at him, absolutely astounded. I said, now something so personal. How can he even know this? I didn't realize he's omnipresent. I did not know he's antaryami. I looked at him completely astounded, like a child does when they are transfixed. And I was looking at him transfixed. He said, "Kyun hai हैरान क्यों हो रही है?" But there's something that he knows, something that is so personal, and nobody knew in my family, that I switch off the bathroom light because I would be so scared of my own reflection because it was so hideous. It would reduce me to tears. So when I said that, he looked at me and said, हैरान क्यों नहीं है? सस्ते भी ड्रम मिल गए ना, तो ना बैठ भी जाता है, गल्ला भी कर लेता है, कहाँ भी लेता है. तो उनको पता ही नहीं मैं कौन हूँ. ਜਦੋਂ मैं चल जाएगा ना और बड़े मंदिर लाइनें लग जानिया ने, तब समझ आएगी कि रब आया सी पर रब की कदर क्यों. ज्यादा ते ज्यादा लोग समझते नहीं मैं दुकान खोली हुई है, कोई आंदा है मैनू नवी गड्डी दे दो, नवा मकान दे दो, नवी वोटी दे दो, नवा हस्बैंड दे दो, सो मांगने के लिए आते हैं, मानता कोई नहीं. तो मानना ही इज अ फॉर्म ऑफ सरेंडर, कि जो गुरु करेंगे आपके लिए वो ही आपके लिए सही है और सच है. तो गुरु जी ने अंत में कहा सच्चा और अच्छा बनो. दैट इज ऑल यू नीड टू डू. दिस इज टू थिंग्स, कि सच्चा और अच्छा बनो, बाकी आई टेक केयर. आई टेक केयर ऑफ योर कार्मिक डेस्टिनी. I take care of your karmic journey. I reduce it with the intensity and the duration. जो आपने बहुत ज्यादा पहाड़ काटना है जिंदगी में, he turns a mountain into a molehill. He reduces that mountain into a molehill. तो छोटे में कर देते हैं, काटना तो पड़ रहेगा. There's no escaping our karmic destination that we have only created. We are the co-creators of our ship, right? We're the co-captains of our ship, rather. So we have done so much over the past lifetimes. Of course, we don't remember it. We have no memory of it. But whatever we are now reaping, it's because we have sown certain seeds in many of our lifetimes. And those seeds which we've sown, he waters them down. he says, okay, you've done this knowingly or unknowingly, inadvertently, but I'm here to handhold you and see you through. I have come to enable you to cross the ocean of world existence. And only he can do that. He said, "Mainu insan da chola lendi lon thodi na si. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭੁੱਲੇ ਪਲਾਏ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਗਏ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਰੱਬ ਹੈ he was very in his humor he said ਤੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਸਾ ਰੱਬ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਲੂਟ ਕਰੇਗੇ ਔਰ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ so in his humor but of course now this has become a global truth a universal truth where money is truly respected regarded and revered and we have forgotten divinity he never said renounce your world and go and remember me he said ghar gristi mein rabba perform your daily duties dharma karma karo and मैं बैठा हूँ आपके साथ मैं बैठा हूँ I am hand holding you and I am seeing you through so there is nothing to fear when he is near literally and he turns our fears into faith he turns our old negativity into positivity कहने से बस आया करो हाजिरी लगाओ आते रहा करो आते आते समझ आती है कि रब क्या है कभी किसी ने डिस्कशन किया कि गुरुजी ऐसा वैसा कहते डिस्कशन ना डिस्कोर्स ना थोड़ा रब देते हैं मैं डिस्कोर्स देवांगा ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਪਰ ਅਗਰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਸਕਿਨ ਕੈਂਸਰ ਠੀਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਡਾਇਬੀਟੀਜ਼ ਠੀਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂ ਅਸਥਮਾ ਠੀਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਦਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਇਹ ਠੀਕ ਹੋਇਆ ਮੇਰਾ ਇੰਟਰਨਲ ਲਾਈਫ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋ ਗਈ I was a reactive person. From reacting, I started responding to situations. From being cynical, I started having faith in people, mankind. So how he converts. Energy cannot be destroyed, but he converts. So within weeks, my skin started clearing and I became absolutely normal. And of course, this Sangat, so-called Purani Sangat, Guruji said, koi nawa nahi, koi purana nahi, janam janam da rishta hai. Tusi pata nahi kisne janma to connected ho. तो हो सकता है मेरी पहली जन्म I have no idea only he knows he said a classroom है कौन किस classroom में और अब तो छोड़ दो who's elevating who's in nursery who's graduating leave it to me you just keep coming listen to the mellifluous hymns that are played and have the consume the langar prasad as your medicine he said नानक दुखिया सब संसार कोई ना कोई कष्ट हर इंसान ਨੂੰ है किसी ਨੂੰ financial कष्ट है तो किसी ਨੂੰ emotional कष्ट है किसी ਨੂੰ physical है So for me, it was physical and emotional. It was physical because I was very, very sick, and I have continued to be have challenges with my health, and of course, emotionally also my relationships were collapsing, as I said. But he irons out. He irons out the creases of the karmic creases that we have only created. So he irons them out gradually. आप देखते हो आते आते कि वो मेरा रिश्ता मेरे भाइयों के साथ भी ठीक हो गया मेरी बहनों के साथ भी ठीक हो गया my friends now understand me so he is the doer and we are the observer because we cannot do anything but yes मेहनत मेरी रहमत तेरी ये नहीं कि complacent होना faith में in fact I feel we have to be more proactive more aware of what am I thinking what am I doing what am I saying so word thought and action is something that we're all creating karmas अगर थॉट में हम निंदा कर रहे हैं तो watch yourselves and say oh अनीता क्या कर रही है चुप एक चुप सौ सुख so क्या बोल रही है better to observe and not absorb and जहाँ आपको negative energy मिली है या कोई निंदा करे उठ जाओ इस निंदो गुरुजी बहुत सुनाते थे कि ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ मारे कर्म लेके ਤੁਸੀਂ अपने चंगे दे रहे हो so the account में imbalance हो जाता है so he has taught us these small things he's really taught us to live love in the true sense he said रब ਨੂੰ प्यार करो रब को डरो नहीं be God loving don't be God fearing so these are very practical इसे मैं practical गुरु हूँ मैं तुम्हें दिखाना है कि रब है so in a very practical sense he's come to teach us how to love and connect with God सत्संग का मतलब ही यही है कि हम सच्ची संगत में बैठ रहे हैं in the company of truth सत्संग so we are sitting in the company of truth and we are all in this classroom where we are being elevated आते हम बड़े कष्ट लेके जाते हम बड़े एलिवेट होके कहने से मैं देना है तो लेना नहीं आता सो जब लेते हो तो उसको संभाल लो अपनी ब्लेसिंग्स को संभाल के डोल के नहीं जाओ संभाल के घर जाओ सीधा अपनी ब्लेसिंग्स अपने घर लेके जाओ तो again small teachings so 1 week before he left his body he said तेरी सेवा तो सत्संग कितना कर so now the funny part is rewind when he cured me of my skin and I was totally daunted by public speaking. Even in school in England, I never participated in public speaking because I was, camera shy and shy of publicity. So Guruji कहते सुना खड़ी हो खड़ी होके सुना तेरा स्किन कैंसर किसने ठीक किया. I was nervous and it was really unnerving and it was a knee-jerking experience and I was perspiring away and I said, Guruji ने ठीक कर दिया मैं बैठ गई. So Guruji looks at me smiling. He said, कभी तेरे तो सत्संग में नहीं सुनाना आंदा मैं क्या नहीं आंदा Guruji इनको तो कभी ना कहना. So 1 week before he left his body, he goes, तेरी सेवा तो सत्संग कितना है. And हसन नहीं आया again, started perspiring. I said, Guruji आपने ही तो बोला है कि मुझे सत्संग सुनाना नहीं आता तो मैं ये सेवा क्यों दे रही हूँ. कहते तू खड़ी होएंगी मैं कराना. So how he takes over our every seva, everyone has a seva. तो वो चार चांद लगा देते हैं सेवा में. Only he knows what he's doing. And कल्याण सुनान वाला दोनों तरह मेरी लहरें चल दिया ने तो उन्होंने पता मैं किन्नू ब्लेस कर रहे हैं. तो सुनो ध्यान में. एक बार मुझे बहुत डांट पड़ी. He said तू ना शब्द सुनती नहीं है. मैं कहा गुरुजी मुझे समझ नहीं आती है. तो मैं अपनी धुन में होती थी कुछ सोच रही होती थी घर में क्या हो रहा है बच्चे क्या कर रहे हैं. तो he said सुन लो किसने किया सॉरी समझ लो किसने किया सुनिया कर वाइब्रेशन जो होती है ना शब्द गुरबानी की वो ये दोनों हिल कर रही है. The soul understands the language of divinity. We may not, our mind may not, but the soul understands the language of divinity. So just listen. And by repeatedly listening, what I have also come to realize is that you draw the essence from it for sure. You understand the essence, even if you don't comprehend it completely, every word and syllable, but you draw the essence of it. So again, we learn through repetition. Therefore, he used to say, "Satsang sunya karo kari kari, aya karo kari kari," because we learn through repetition. We also learned, algebra and logarithms through repetition only in maths. We didn't learn it in instant, unless we're a genius. But instantly, to kuch bhi nahi humne school mein bhi learn kiya. It's only through repetition that we learned dates in history and we learned formulas in maths. So, because it eventually sinks into the subconscious mind. So anyway, then he said, "Tu wapas Manchester ja, maa baap di seva kar, maa di seva kar." And I said, "Why would I do that? Now Guruji, I've fallen in love with India. When I came, I resented India. Now I don't want to go back to England." He said, "Nee, tu wapas England jao, tis satsang shuru kar, aur maa di seva kar." I was a little confused and baffled because I felt that mom has dad. Why would I go back and do seva? Or my mother. He said, "माँ बाप ने जो सेवा कर दे वो रब दी सेवा होगी. माँ बाप का जरूर time दो और उन्हें प्यार दो." As they get older, we get impatient. कौन बैठेगा? Mama keeps repeating herself, dad keeps repeating himself. मैं कहते वो सब तो बड़ी सेवा है जब you really give your precious time to your elderlies because they're very lonely inside. So give them time because that is your true seva. रब बड़ा खुश होता है जब माँ बाप की सेवा करते हैं, माँ बाप का ध्यान रखते हैं. Today we hear horrific stories in India where the elderly are completely abused. So Guruji came to teach us कि जितना मर्जी आप distracted हो life में, and we are living in a social media age where every human being is distracted. Even a family of 4 having dinner together, they're not really having dinner together. They're having dinner with their friends on Facebook or Instagram. So this is how we have become in this age of technology. We have been disconnected from the real and connected to the unreal. So as Guruji, had ordained, life unfolded in exactly the same way. I questioned, I said, "Guruji, मेरी बेटियां." He said, "नहीं उन्होंने मैं अमेरिका भेज रही हूँ. वो दोनों पढ़ेगी बाहर. तू फिक्र ना कर उन्हें का. उन्हें मैं संभाल लिया. तू वापस जा." 2009 cut to 2009, my father passed away. Guruji left his body in 2007. 2 years later, Anishka, my elder one, she went to USC in California. And mom was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis, which is a degenerative, incurable disease. And I still couldn't leave Sonakshi. So following year, she was going to NYU. But after dropping in September 2010, I have to share this. It's a beautiful satsang. So 2010 September, I was feeling the empty nest syndrome, which all mothers go through eventually. So I was really going, and I was newly divorced, and I was changing countries. They say, well, 3 things can really cause a trauma in your system. I was changing countries, I was newly divorced, and I was facing the empty nest syndrome. So all when it rains, it pours. So all together, it happened to me. And I was, of course, shaken to the core. I said, what's happening to me now? I feel orphaned, I feel alone, and I feel totally isolated in life. So when I went to drop Sonakshi, it was more difficult than dropping Anishka because now I was really going through that empty nest. So in September 2010, I was on Facebook and I just randomly clicked is a satsangs in New York, Manhattan. And I really need my chai prashad and samosa prashad, which we became accustomed to every Monday in Baramandir. So immediately, it was like an instant, press of a button. The response came from this beautiful Sangat in New York, Ganga Aunty, and she says, I'm here. And I said, oh, wow. She said, not exactly Manhattan. I said, Manhattan mein bhi ho jayenge, mere muh se nikla. Manhattan mein bhi ho jayenge, auntie. He said, but I live in Long Island. Long Island. So I will come to you. She didn't say, it was a Monday. And I was crying because I just dropped Sonakshi to her, dome. So I had just dropped her there, settled her, came back, and I was rolling away in the hotel, as a mother does. So, and I said, what's happened, Guruji? Now what's my purpose? Like, what do I do? Motherhood is one purpose that every woman has. So I said, now what? So she comes with a lovely flask, hot flask. I pack it in her hand. I said, this can't be. It's a Monday, but it cannot be. And I looked at Ganga. This was the first time I met her. I said, this can't be. She says, samosa prashad and chai prashad. So I said, wow, thank you. I mean, Guruji really listens, and he really listens. With a pure heart, you ask for anything that is, of course, not meddling with your karmas. Simple, innocent inquiries are always welcomed by Guruji. But don't ask. जो कहते थे मन्नो मंगो नहीं, he said, दोनों मंगना नहीं आप 10 करके मैं कहना. It's not a literal thing. But मन्नो मंगो नहीं, because हमें अगर रब से रब मांग लिया तो then मांगो. अगर हमने कहा गुरुजी हमने चरणों में रखना तो मांग लो. Because when we ask for the real deal, then you get the real deal from the world. It follows you. So the worldly desires and ambitions are a byproduct. But we have asked for the real deal, which is the highest. Then everything else gets aligned. But अगर आप छोटी चीज मांग लोगे और जिद करके मांगोगे, वो भी रब को देना पड़ता है, और then you have to face the consequences of whether it was right for you, wrong for you. तो इसलिए कहते थे रब से रब मांग लो, नाम भी कमाई ना जानी है, बाकी तो नहीं था सब कुछ ऐसे रह जाना. ते लोग समझते नहीं है. बाकी ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਰਸੀਡੀਜ਼ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੰਗਿਆ ਵੱਡਾ ਮਕਾਨ ਜਾਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ मांगा आपने वो यही रह जाना है. सिर्फ नाम की कमाई साथ जानी है तो वो मांग. Anyway, then our Sangat does world over, and I've experienced it, and I'm eternally and intensely grateful for all Sangat world over. And Ganga, of course, took me around Manhattan, and मेरे thought यही आते गया, Guruji Sonakshi Nishka को भी दोबारा जोड़ दो. Of course, they were 3 and 4 when they started going to Guruji. I said दोबारा जोड़ दो. Now, of course, it's teenagers and they're adults, and now their lure is nightclubs and whatever bars. I said, well, यहाँ भी Manhattan में भी सत्संग शुरू हो जाए. So I went back to Manchester from New York, and I started taking care of my mom. Dad was no longer. Mom was given 6 months to live, and it was heartbreaking, to see her shrink, because pulmonary fibrosis does that. Your lungs are shrinking, and you are shrinking even physically. So, and I went through a mild depression looking at her, and then my brother was diagnosed with autoimmune disease. He was also on the edge of life. So what happened? I remember very clearly, I was watching TV and I kept crying for no reason. That's when I realized I'm going through a mild depression. Now, as Guruji said, मैं जा रहा हूँ, मैं गुरु परिवार छड़ के जा रहा हूँ. And he never really said that I'm going. Either when he said मैं जा रहा हूँ, I said maybe Punjab जा रहे हैं. He's taking a break from all of it. He's going to Punjab. Nobody knew that he was actually leaving his chola. But he said, मेरे जान तो बाद देखना लाइनें लग जाने ने बड़े मंदिर जगह जगह जोत जलेगी तो सत्संग करें. So when I went back to Manchester and I was in mild depression, a sangat from India, मैं जा रहा पर गुरु परिवार छड़ के जा रहे हैं, तो गुरु परिवार अपने परिवार से ज्यादा प्यार करेगा और काम आएगा. So I get a call from the sangat from Delhi, and she said मैं Monday है, मैं अभी निकली हूँ बड़े मंदिर से, मुझे गुरुजी ने ये मतलब he's put this thought in my head कि तू सत्संग बोला था ना गुरुजी ने कि तू सत्संग शुरू कर इन मैनचेस्टर. आपने शुरू किया? मैंने कहा नहीं. तो कहते हैं 2 चीजें बोली थी ना आपको कि माँ की सेवा कर और सत्संग शुरू कर. मैं कहा सत्संग कैसे शुरू करते हैं? None of us had an idea सत्संग कैसे शुरू करते हैं. So I called my childhood friends and my sister-in-law, who's a staunch Guruji believer. She loves Guruji from the heart and soul, and she's very pure. So I called her up. I said, Kajal, I want to do satsang. She goes, of course, very positive. I called 2, 3 of my childhood friends. I said, Satsang, what is that? Who's your guru? I said, doesn't matter. Will you support me? She said, of course. 3, 4 of my friends. We started with 4 or 5. Now we have over 500 Sangat in Manchester, which is just him. It's all him. मेहनत मेरी रहमत है. वो रहमत करते हैं तो बहुत करते हैं. So satsang started. Mum outlived her suffering. 6 महीने दिए भगवान ने, doctors ने, and then she lived for 4 years, but not in a good condition. That was her karmas. But the positive is, okay, first when we started the satsangs every Sunday in her home, she would just from a distance ऐसे करती थी हाथ जोड़ के, then देखते देखते माथा टेकती थी, और फिर देखते देखते बोली तू गुरु की कर दी रहनी है, ये तो रब है. So Guruji had to connect her soul before she left. So Guruji के क्या plans होते हैं, क्या reasons होते हैं, and I would always pray towards the end because if I may share this, because sometimes our karmas are so deep and so painful that you think that Guruji, where are you? Because what happened when she was on her deathbed, I'm going to cut that part out because I'm just going to tell you that I had breast cancer twice, 2 tumors after Guruji left. But the third time when I had it, she was on her deathbed, and I just had a simple routine health check in Manchester. So I would not leave her bedside because she became insecure now. She said, "मैं चढ़ के ना जाऊँ, कुछ भी हो सकता है anytime," kind of thing. So I said, Mom, I'm just going somewhere. I'll be back in an hour. I couldn't tell her I'm going to the hospital because she would worry then. So, double her pain. So I went to the routine health check and Kajal took me, my sister-in-law. And we were laughing all the way to the hospital. I said, routine health check, 1 year later after having cancer, 2 tumors. So I said, this is just a routine health check. Now it's just a bend, not the end kind of thing. But when we sat laughing all the way and having my mammogram and sitting with the doctor, Kajal was still cracking her jokes and I was saying, okay, chill now, we're sitting with the doctor. And suddenly the doctor looked at the report and he goes, I'm really sorry to report, but very bad news. I said, oh God, we were not expecting this. I had no symptoms. And he said, I'm sorry, but you have another tumor. And this tumor has to be removed immediately with immediate effect. It's malignant and it's aggressive, so it has to be removed, say tomorrow, So I went back home and of course I was devastated now. My faith is shaken. I said, Mama's suffering is like unending. And it was it was a very deep karma. 2 hours in one space and neither knew what was happening. So, and I would always pray, Guruji, Arya Par, because you can't see your loved one suffer to that extent. And then I said, Mom, I have to go again tomorrow somewhere. She said, you don't care about me. So you can't even imagine how difficult it was. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes you think there's only darkness. Where is the light? So therefore, Guruji used to say, Mere sirup ke aage jod jalao and bharosa rakho. If you believe in me, believe in my timing and believe in my plans. Unke plans, unki timing is far superior than our plans and our timing. And sometimes it takes years for that to unfold. Because we must not forget, it's a karmic destiny, which we have only created. So he can't just do it in the blink of an eye. We have not learned our life lessons there. Guruji said, Jo, jiske andar daya nahi, wo waise rab ko adhura hai. Your humility, humanity, your compassion, your kindness is your true religion. There is no other religion. It's all man-made. Religion builds walls. Spirituality breaks those walls. So he said, just believe, and then you will receive everything that I have come to give you, and more. Unimaginable. Life is unimaginable with Guruji. Of course, it was a tough time. I had got my surgery done. Mum didn't know. I didn't whisper a word. I told my brothers not to whisper a word to her. Came back as if nothing had happened. I had my surgery. After that, the doctor said, we're taking no chances. I'm going to give you chemo. Now, my father had cancer multiple times and eventually he died of cancer because not really cancer, but he died of the chemo because excess chemo is also toxic. So he gave up on me. He said, I can't take it anymore. And he was a fighter all his life. When he had cancer first time, he said, kuch nahi hai, I'll be fine. Second time, when he had kuch nahi hai. Third time, when I got it and he got it, and I said, oh my God, I'm following dad's pattern. And now, even I lost a little of my courage. And I said, now, Guruji, I can't fight. I was only 44. But I said, I can't fight. I'm tired. And then the doctors, when they said, we're going to give you chemo, we're going to give you this much. I said, Guruji, whatever happens, I'm not taking chemo. Because I saw what it did to my dad. I'm not taking chemo. Please, save me from chemo. I will just live my life this way. So what happened? We again stepped upon our faith. This is a very pivotal point because sometimes we take Guruji for granted, sometimes we take our faith for granted, sometimes we become complacent. As I said, there's no room for complacency in the realm of faith. There's no logic also, but there's no room for complacency. So I stepped upon my faith, started having Langar Prashad every week, every Sunday, continued the satsangs. And then 1 month later, when I went back to the doctor, he said, okay, we won't give you chemo. On his own. Actually, it's okay. We won't give you chemo. But of course, we have to give you the rest of the treatment. And even strangely, the treatment hampers your immunity. So even though we're fighting a disease, it kills our immunity also. So really had to learn a lot of life lessons here. And I think this is for a lot of people here. I went for a satsang and one doctor who used to treat me for asthma, he looked at me, he goes, I believe you've invited the cancer again. I said, I've invited the cancer. What do you mean? So he said, I know what I'm going to say is very harsh, but it's your reality. He said, as humans, we go through a lot of emotions in our life. And a lot of people will hurt us. But we carry that hurt. And we don't forgive. We hold on to a lot of bitterness. We hold on to a lot of resentment. So those negative emotions actually impact your cells. And it's a scientifically proven thing. So what are you holding on to that you're not letting go of? Because that is what's transforming and transpiring into cancer. So can you let go and let God? Something so profound. So I said, oh, and that made me reflect and introspect. I came home and I said, yeah, actually, there's so much heaviness in me of my past. Maybe my marriage I'm holding on to that broke. Maybe guilt that, my girls were only 13 and 14 when the marriage broke. So as humans, it's not just a woman thing. It's humans. We've had childhood issues. Maybe our father said something in our childhood and we're carrying on, holding that. But it's not a reality, it's a perception, right? There's a difference between perception and reality. So now my reality was beautiful. The world was opening up. Guruji had given me a sense of purpose, which I was seeking all my life in childhood. Okay, why am I here? Who am I? Which we all do. Who am I and why am I here? Guruji said, Tenu seva deti. I've given you a sense of purpose in life, given you a reason to live, a reason to go on. Just give and you live. And give of yourself, give of your experiences. And that is your true living. So then I learned to do the inner work, which again we must all do. God help those who help themselves. So when we sit in a satsang event, and we know our predominant in trait is, say, anger. So we must surrender that anger. If it's fear, then मुझे तो डर लगता है दुनिया से. I seem to fear everything. Then surrender that fear too. So surrender the resentment, surrender the anger, surrender the guilt, surrender the resentment. He takes over because that is important to travel light, to eventually merge into the light. And we can only merge into the light when we've really cleared all our karmas. And the emotion is also karma. We don't want to carry it to our next life. We don't want to carry our anger because it will pop up its ugly face in a different form. Today, maybe your mother, your father, your husband, or your brother, but it'll come again in a different garb, different, just clothed differently. So with Guruji, it's a spiritual journey. It's a lesson. It's a journey of learning. He used to say, it's a journey of the soul. But you don't understand. You think it's a physical journey. Physical is the minute. We are actually spiritual beings having a human experience. So we are essentially spiritual. And we are essentially just having a human experience. So enjoy the experience and let go and let God. And that is your true surrender. When you let go of everything that you're holding on to, the weight on your shoulders, give it to Him. Say, Guruji, aap dekho, mujhe nahi pata. And that doesn't make you complacent. It just means you trust the higher power, the sublime being, more than you trust yourself. And when Rab hai to sab hai, जब हम उनके हाथ में रख देते हैं तो वो अपना हाथ कभी नहीं छोड़ते. आपका हाथ हमेशा पकड़ के रखेंगे. So leave everything in his hands, and then you will see his hand in everything, literally. So that is a beautiful, divine, sublime journey. And he'll always protect us. He said, Barish honi Anita, agge jaake, tin chit jadi. Depression, cancer, divorce. So again, I looked at him and I said, Guruji, and I was very vocal. I was very, like, you can say very chatty. So I said, Guruji, ये तो वेस्ट में होता है जैसे मैं आई हूँ. ये तो इंग्लैंड में होता है. Cancer, divorce, depression, इंडिया में थोड़ी ना होता है. He said, घर घर की कहानी होनी है, one or the other. He said, तो देखें. So I said, then what is the solution? रब नाल जुड़ जाओ. नाम जपो, मंत्र जाप करो, चलते फिरते भी रब नू याद करो. और बैठ के भी याद करो, 1 घंटा बैठ के याद भी कितना करो, कल्ले बैठ के भी. उसमें अलग रस है. कहते नहीं तो दुनिया की हर चीज में रस है. शॉपिंग में भी रस है, गैम्बलिंग में भी रस है, हर चीज में रस है, गॉसिप करने में भी रस है, काल का रस, हर चीज रस है. जो ए रस है ना, ए बड़ी दूर तक जानता है, थोड़े ना रहता है. तो जन्म जन्म के साथ आपके ये, होपफुली इतना जन्म ना हो, बट व्हाटएवर, जन्म जन्म का ये रस है, बहुत दूर तक ये रस जाता है. तो ए रस मांग लो ना, सत्संग आंदे भी हो तो रस लो, पूरा मर्यादा के साथ बैठो. और साइलेंस में वाइब्रेशन मेरी लेवल, फोन दी वाइब्रेशन छੱਡ दो, डिस्ट्रैक्शन नहीं होनी चाहिए, बस इन पे फोकस कीजिए. And then he focuses on you. When we look at him, he's bound to look at you, right? But when we're not looking at him, when we're looking at the संगत की सूट क्या पहन लिया आज, ये क्या पहन लिया, आज लंदन में क्या होगा, मुझे भूख लग गई, आंटी कब चुप करेगी. No. Jai Guruji, thank you for having me in Netherlands. It's beautiful. This is my second time here, and I'm really honored and privileged. And it's a beautiful satsang the both there. We have volumes. Each one of us actually has a book inside us, but some share, some don't. It's like, he's given me the seva and he takes over. But there are volumes and volumes of blessings. Therefore, the gratitude. He said, "Koi shukr ada nahi karta." सब कंप्लेन करने आ जाते हैं, गुरुजी ये हो गया, बारिश हो गई मेरी लाइफ में, मेरा फाइनेंसेस हो गया, मेरा रिलेशनशिप टूट रहे, हेल्थ इश्यूज हो रही है. कहते शुक्राना करो, इट कुड हैव बीन वर्स. सो शुक्र करो कि मैं हाई बॉडी लाइफ है. शुक्र करो, फिक्र ना करो, और जिक्र करते रहो. शुक्र करो, थैंक यू. ग्रेटिट्यूड इज एन एटीट्यूड. So just keep saying thank you when you get up, when you have your tea, when you have the langar prasad. Shukr Guruji, because so many people are not connected. So many people are in darkness, but he's bringing us closer to the light. So that is a shukr, right? That we are all protected. We're in a shield. Channo mein rakhna Guruji. Swasa ni manana simra tera naam Guruji. So this is something that he has given us. Oh, we have the power to move forward and the power to connect others. Because, sarvada bala ho. Guruji said, Hamisha, apne liye to sab mangte hain. Sarvada bala mango. Pray for world peace. Pray that there's no conflicts. Pray कि अच्छी बुद्धि हो सबकी. कि गुरुजी सबका भला करो. Let there be peace. Let peace reign and, around the world. So ये बहुत जरूरी है. शुक्र करो, फिक्र ना करो, जिक्र करो कि अपने रब को याद करते रहो. Turn your worry into worship. Turn your faith into faith. And turn your hatred into love. और कुछ नहीं है in this fragility of this life. सब कुछ ऐसे ही रह जाना है. And we don't even know what's around the corner. So thank you, Guruji. Jai Guruji.
Yes, yes.
Please लंगर कीजिए. Oh, still there. Jai Guruji.
Namaste to Guruji and a very warm welcome to Guru Sangat. Beautiful satsang by like Anita Aunty, and I'll keep it very short because जैसे महाराज कहते थे कि short which so nice. So thank you Guruji. I would start with the shukrana for making me attend satsang. The very first Shabad was ke bin bhaga satsang na mile. And that is actually so true because he has posted me to a place where there is no satsangs. So last 6 to 7 years, I've been just on one-on-one with Maharaj. I just staff for the Sangat, Sat Sangat, and langar in a So Shukrana Guruji. And it so happened that 10 days before, I was sitting in the house in the darbar, and I was like, Guruji, give Smiley a reason to smile. I mean, I was just pouring my heart out, and I was just crying, and I was like, just give a reason for Smiley to smile. And within 1 hour, this trip was made. So, he listens, but the timing is his. And what he wants to give is also, we have to just wait. And as Adi said, we have to surrender to him totally. So, my spiritual journey in this lifetime started on 9th of July 2012, when I stepped the very first time in Hara Mandir. And the journey was going very smooth from 2012 till 2018. Every Monday, he called me to Bada Mandir, every Monday. So, that was also a very big blessing. Because somewhere he knew that, now she would be starving for the satsangs and for the mandir. And we had no plan to move out. But it so happened that Maharaj ki marzi, that, overnight he made us shift to Europe. And so in 2018, he blessed me with 16 Amrit Vela satsangs at our house in Oscars. Every Saturday night, Sunday morning, they used to happen. And I was not knowing anything, Amrit Vela kya hota hai, and this and that. But that was my journey. So, I am just sharing whatever happened in my life. And so ये हुआ उसके बाद 2019 August, when we had a plan that now we are moving out of India. So just 6-7 days before that, my mother just said that there is a history of glaucoma in the family. So आप अपना eye test करा लो before you leave, because वहां पे फिर आपको मिले डॉक्टर नहीं मिले. So I just went for a casual eye test in India, and the doctor says, no, आपको तो है कुछ this that, and I can do your surgery tomorrow. So sorry to say, भूल चूक माफ, but doctors at times try to make money or whatever. So it so happened कि रात को उसी दिन बसंत विहार में सत्संग था, and I just took my reports and I just put it in his charan. And my friend, an old sangat, he was like, क्या है ये? I said, these are my reports and I have a surgery tomorrow. He said, you should always take a second opinion. Don't just go with a blindfold. So that was my learning for life. Every time if any health issue comes or anything, you should always go for a second opinion. So cut short, I mean, things happened, and finally I was not, the second doctor said that there is no need for surgery, but I want you to go for a MRI right now of the brain, because I can see something or something. I said, MRI, what are you saying? He said, "Aap bas jao. Whatever." So one after the other just went, and then the doctor says that, you have a brain tumor. And you have this since the childhood, but it is benign. So there is no problem. Because when I was a kid, I was a victim of black magic upon me. So I was really sick. So, anyways, everything fell into place, and Shukrana Maharaj. And then we moved in Europe in August 2018, 19. And then 6 months, I was so lonely, and I was kind of thrown to one part of the world where there was no Sangat, nobody to talk to. There was a big language issue. So I went into deep depression, and even suicidal thoughts started coming. I became so lonely. And then just before the pandemic, 2020, Jan, it so happened that, I used to go for walks in the nature, and I used to just talk to God, looking up in the sky. And I used to just howl and cry out. And I was like, bas ho gaya mera. I don't want to live. If you are there, then either you put me into your seva simran. I want to dedicate each and every breath of mine into your lotus feet, or you take me. And this is also his doing, because हमारी क्या औकात है कि we can also think such a thing. But somewhere I asked the real deal. मतलब मुझे पता भी नहीं था कि मैं क्या मांग रही हूँ, but it just so happened. And he also blessed me, like from 2017, 18, 19. I used to hear every day satsangs on YouTube. That was my ritual until date. I carry that, every day one satsang. I just go on the YouTube and I just Google old sangats, because you get a lot of depth in the old sangats, because उन लोगों ने महाराज के साथ time spend करा है. And at that time, I also asked to God, like, Guruji, that, I want to connect to the old Sangat. I want to see them. I want to feel them. Because उन लोगों ने आपके साथ time spend किया है. So, how he listens. But again, the timing is his. For 3 months, January, February, March 2020, I was just talking to him and he was silent. There was no reaction. There was nothing. And I was like, are you even listening to my heart, my cries? But then 2020 March, when the pandemic was just about to start, at that time, he blessed me with the Seva, Simran. And during pandemic, like, he chose me as a vessel, because one of my school friends, he told me that, you have Shiv Puran, and every Guruji's book is like a granth. So you should just put it next to your heart and you should just start talking to it. And it is not just a book. So for that matter, like even all the books by like Anita Aunty or any spiritual book, it has life in it. So I started doing that without using my brain. So 3 months, Shiv Puran ko yahan laga ke I used to keep on talking to it, my heart out. और कैसे वो ग्रंथ, it went inside me and he chose me as a vessel, because when pandemic started, तो कुछ संगत को गुरुजी ने बोला था to read the Shiv Puran, but then it so happened that we started Zoom. Our was the first Zoom, मतलब Zoom का तब किसी को नाम भी नहीं था पता, March 2020. But we started the Zoom thing and we started Amrit Vela Zoom satsangs during pandemic, April 2020 till सवा साल तक. Every night, like, 2 घंटे की playlist, and then every weekend, we used to call the old sangat. So my friend said that, you have to organize and call the old sangat. I said, hello, I don't know anybody. मैं तो किसी को भी नहीं जानती. So it was like, somebody puts you like in a swimming pool. Hey, bhaiya, you na just swim now. I said, how will I find? And because I had asked that thing, so, he connected me to the old Sangat and how everything fell into place. And then during this time, I was like, अब तो मेरी life में पिछले 4-5 साल से बड़ा कुछ हो रहा है. I mean, 2.5 साल Amrit Vela has happened. He's made me, get up at night and 2 hours. And then during this COVID, I've been doing so much of like 15 to 16 hours of spiritual thing was going on in my life, the whole of pandemic. So I was like, up to my life will fall into place. Now things will get better. Who knew that, what? I mean, we don't have to use our brain, but like as soon as 2020 got finished, I started having some symptoms of my health, and because of pandemic, I was not able to go for a test. And here also there is a learning that, if your body is giving you any kind of signs, please don't take it easy. You should go immediately. Because of my pandemic and everything like going on, and the hospitals were not there, welcoming and all, I did a delay for like 3-4 months. And then one day I was just talking to my brother that, I've been telling my family people to take me for a. He said, why are you dependent on anybody? Just take a cab and go. So I just went. And I went for a ultrasound of my breast, and they said that is fine. There is no problem. But still, these reports you just show to this surgeon. So one after the other, like I'll keep it short. And then it was the doctor said, I think we'll have to go for a biopsy. And like, what is happening in my life? मतलब ये क्या? पहले brain tumor, अब ये क्या हो रहा है ये? Anyways, what has to happen, and the karma that you have to bear, you have to just walk that path with faith. And all throughout, he was showing me this number 13-7, which he made me tattoo on my hand also now. 13-7. तेरा साथ. So किसी भी मैं हॉस्पिटल में जाऊं तो प्लॉट नंबर वाज 13. अगर मैं किसी डॉक्टर रूम में जाऊं so it was 7 नंबर. या किसी भी डॉक्टर के वहां पे मैं बैठी हुई हूँ so the book was kept there 2013. And I was like, you keep on showing me signs, huh? I want the real deal. मुझे तो miracle चाहिए. Because he was making me hear the satsangs where people who had 4th stage cancer and they never went through the surgery. So I was like, he's making me hear this. So that means I will not have a surgery now. But from I would say January 21 till 6 months, one after the other, I went through my biopsy, this, that, and when the doctor finally sat, she said, well, we have a good news and a bad news. I said, what? So she said, the good news is that you have only the 1st to 2nd stage breast cancer, and we do a surgery and it would be done. I said, what is good about it? I can't see anything good in this. And then she goes, the bad thing is that, you have a worm in your liver, because of which you have to go for a 5 to 6 hours of liver surgery also. I said, गुरुजी आप क्या कर रहे हो मेरी लाइफ में? मतलब प्लीज ये धरती फट जाए and I just go down. मुझे नहीं जीना. What are you doing with my life? Sorry, Maharaj, but that was my reaction at that time. And then I was somewhere deep inside my heart of hearts. I was doing ABC with him, complaining to him that, why did you give me 2 things? You could have given me 1 thing. एक साथ 2 चीजें आपने, मतलब आपको थोड़ा सा तो रहम खाते. But Sangaji, how they say that, we don't know what is beyond the wall. हमें नहीं पता कि दीवार के उस साइड क्या है. He knows, he can see. All we have to do is trust him. And trust me, it's very difficult to trust. Surrender, as like Auntie said, is a very big word. And we all are just in work in progress. So, anyways, this is a very long one. But I'll just say that he chose the date. My breast cancer surgery happened on 7th of July, 2021. And the date he chose, so when everybody around the world was celebrating Maharaj's birthday, I was on the surgery table, and my doctor said, what time can you come for the surgery? I said, when you have to butcher the person, then it's your call. You just take a call anytime you say. She says, okay, then I'll check my schedule, and okay, you come at 13-7. 1 baje aap aa jao. And the date was 7th of July. I said, Jai Guruji, I know that you are there. So when I was lying on the table and the doctors were about to give me like anesthesia, I was like, Guruji, ये मेरी पहली medical thing है. I know you are there, but I'm very scared. Please एक sign दिखा दो कि आप हो. मुझे पता है आप हो, but I just want to feel you or like, kuch to please tell me. So my doctor goes on a corner and she just puts her plastic cap, and that cap had around 20 butterflies on it. And I was like, Jai Guruji, and I smiled. And my doc says that, why are you smiling? I said nothing. I just got a sign from my doc, God. So the surgery happened, and then after, so when my surgery was there, my liver doctor told me, we'll put you on a 3-month medication, and the chances are 50-50. After the medication, which was 800 mg daily, because of which I gained so much of weight, and I had to have a proper meal, like a langar for like, lunch and dinner, with proper khana I had to have, so that I could take that heavy dosage of the medication. So 3 months I took that, and then when again the test happened, so then my liver doctor says that, okay, I think the worm in your liver has died, so you don't have to go for a liver surgery, and we will monitor this for next 5 years. We will keep on doing your like ultrasound and all, and just keep a check. I said, Jai Guruji, kahin to miracle came. That, what I was hoping, that there is no surgery. So if one surgery happened, at least the second didn't happen. And then one night, he makes me, the thought comes that, just Google and see. So I just searched and I just tried to find the relationship between breast cancer and leukonococcus worm. Yeah. And that was the turning point. He showed that all throughout, he was blessing me. And I was somewhere in a very, like, I had a kind of a thing that, why the ifs and buts and the blame, I was somewhere giving him. So sorry, Guruji, for that. But when I Googled this, that was one night around 3 o'clock at night. I was not getting sleep and I was just Googling. And they said that the research is still going on in the US, that if somebody has breast cancer and leukonococcus worm, it is like a big blessing, because the worm eats away the cancer. So Jai Guruji. I mean, where I was thinking that this is like a curse, it was actually a blessing to me. The worm actually ate, maybe I was supposed to have fourth stage cancer. Like, what was there? We don't know. And then here, how he validates. On 7th of July, 21, I had the surgery, and at night the doctor said that, you should take a round, like you eat food, dinner, and you must walk. So I was listening to the Bada Mandir Zoom satsang, and that day Sabina Kumar Aunty was sharing. And look at his timing. I am listening to the satsang and walking, but I am talking to him. I am saying, "Aapne miracle to kiya nahi." I had to go through this surgery, but now that the surgery has happened, at least मुझे बता तो दो that how severe was the cancer. I want to know that what miracle have you done here, because the surgery happened. And I am talking to him, I am listening to the satsang, but yet not really hearing. And from there, other end, Sabina Kumar Aunty says, and I asked him that what had happened to me. And he said, don't ask. If I tell you कि तेरे साथ क्या था, तो तेरे पाँव के नीचे से जमीन निकल जाएगी. And then I said, don't tell me. I don't want to know it. So you know how he answers.